Welcome to What's Up, Marci. This is Marci. I just want to take a couple of minutes today to talk about dating and finding love. Finding love is something that we all want to do. It's a biological, emotional, instinctive need in humans to find love and connection and belonging. And I write about that a lot in my memoir, Permission to Land, Searching for Love, Home, and Belonging. I also talk a lot about dating. And when I was in my 20s and I was dating for the first time, or my teens and my 20s, the early part in my life, kids don't know anything about anything. So I was following my grandma's dating advice, which was antiquated even in the 80s when I was first taking her advice. But it was advice for an older generation. And she tried to tell me, or she did tell me, that I should learn to like or pretend to like the things that the boy I liked. And so the crush that I had in 7th and 8th grade liked basketball and video games. So I pretended to like basketball and video games. But then he saw me as one of the boys, one of the guys that he hung out with, and chose to date my friend who was a cheerleader and wore cute skirts and was a girly girl. So I started to think that maybe that wasn't the greatest thing. So as I evolved and grew up, and then I was dating in my 20s, it was kind of easy to find people to date. Whether they were good quality people who were healthy for me to date was a different question. But when you're in your early 20s, almost everyone you meet and everyone you hang out with is single. So the dating pool is kind of the whole world who's out there. So you go out to restaurants, to bars, to clubs, you see bands, you go, wherever young people hang out, at the beach with their other friends, and almost everybody that you're friends with and everybody that you know is single or in a new relationship. So it's easy to find people who to date. In your 40s or at midlife, somewhere in your 40s or 50s or a little bit or even later, it's harder to find people because a great many of the people that you have to choose from, the dating pool is smaller because people are already married or they're already in established committed relationships. And so when I was 38 when I got divorced from my first husband and started dating, and I was like a serial monogamist, and I was in a bunch of relationships, one after the other. And I'm not really the casual dating kind of girl. I'll go out on a date or two, and if it doesn't sort of work out, I'll move on. But what I was always looking for was love, was a long-term committed kind of thing that was healthy. But I wasn't healthy, and I was still sort of trying to package myself from the outside superficially as somebody who the guy would like. And I wasn't sure who I was, and I wasn't sure what I wanted, and I wasn't really in touch with who I was, or what I meant, or how I felt about me, or anything else. And so it's really hard to communicate what you want in a relationship, or communicate who you authentically are when you're not really sure of that. You have to do the work on yourself first. It took me a long time to realize that. And so I was in and out of relationships, in and out of dating, getting hooked into relationships with one narcissist after another, gotten taken for money, got taken for my feelings, got my vulnerability stepped on, got my heart broken, was very disappointed over and over again, gaslighted and catfished over and over again, until I finally learned my lesson. It was like, as I wrote in my book, it was like the universe hitting me over the head with a 4x4. Finally, I was getting the message. And I was somewhere around 45-ish, 46-ish, 47 even, when I was dating. And I finally figured out that it was way more important for me to like me, the version of me that I was, the authentic Marci, when I was with that person, than it was for that person to like me. So I wasn't pretending to like things that I don't really like, and I wasn't laughing at jokes that weren't funny, and I wasn't liking movies or music that I didn't really like, and I wasn't telling him that what I wanted was anything other than what I actually wanted. And if he liked me, great. If he didn't like me, as long as I was actually being Marci, then also great. No harm, no foul. And I began to start looking at first dates like a fun, exciting adventure instead of a nerve-wracking experience. It's only nerve-wracking if you feel like you have something to lose, right? We're only anxious or afraid when we feel like we have something to lose. But a first date, there is nothing to lose. You haven't invested anything yet. You haven't communicated anything yet. I mean, maybe there's been a couple of phone calls, or you've been texting or emailing or whatever, who knows how you meet people, but a first date, you have nothing to lose. So you might as well just put all your cards out on the table and be yourself. I'm not saying be mean. I'm not saying be anything other than you actually are. You believe how you believe, you present how you present, you look as good as you can possibly look, whatever it is, but it is just you. So you wear what you're comfortable in, you present yourself in a way that is authentic, that you're you. You laugh how you laugh, you talk how you talk, you believe how you believe. You're not going to put on airs or try to look prettier than you are, or feel bad about yourself when you fall short of comparison, when you're comparing yourself to other people, because that ultimately isn't you. And then you're just hanging out with that other person, man, woman, or anything in between, non-binary, whatever. And if you connect, you can feel that. If there's chemistry between you, you can feel that. If it's not there, you can also feel that. But be honest with yourself and admit it. Doesn't matter. You get along, great. Maybe there's a second date. You don't get along, oh well, it was just a couple of hours of my life. You didn't lose anything. You had a meal, you had a drink, you had coffee, you had ice cream, whatever it is. You saw a movie, whatever the date entails. You went to a car show. It doesn't really matter. It's no harm, no foul. I see a lot of people, men and women, in when they've reached a certain age and they are dating after a long marriage or a divorce, or whatever their previous situation was, and they're nervous. They don't know if the other person's going to like them. They don't know if they're going to have chemistry. They don't know if they're going to have anything to talk about. And and I remember being in that situation, and I empathize with them 1,000%, but I really I want to put my arm around them, and I want to say, look, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not saying their feelings don't matter, but being nervous is irrelevant. Get rid of it. Be excited instead. I'm going to meet a new person. I'm going to maybe discover something about myself that I didn't know before through having a conversation about this other person. I'm going to learn and discover how this other person is, and what he or she believes, and what makes them feel passionate. And I'm going to be able to share that authenticity about what makes me feel passionate with that other person. And if it goes well, fabulous. And if it doesn't go well, I've lost nothing except a couple of hours. That's it. You don't click. It doesn't work. You don't like them. They don't like you. You don't like the version of yourself that you got to be with them. Move on. What does it matter? How many guys I had dates with who said, you're too curvy for me. Oh, well, bye-bye. Or some guy said, that he was freaked out because I reminded him visually, the way I looked, I reminded him of his dead wife, and it was too freaky. And I'm like, sorry, can't change the way I look. So see ya, find somebody who's blonde or whatever. I had a guy once tell me that he thought that the vocabulary I used when I had a conversation with him on our first date, he asks me to dumb down my vocabulary. I'm like, you're not smart enough for me. I'm not dumbing down my vocabulary. I said, why don't you stand taller and try to reach some new intellectual height? And he's like, what, I'm too short too? Like, forget you. You are who you are. And that's fabulous. And that's enough. That's more than enough. And that's beautiful. And that's exceptional. And don't let anybody ever tell you that you are not enough, or that you are not special, or that you are not anything that they want. If they don't want you, there are other people that will. You do not want to be with somebody who doesn't think that the sun rises and sets on your ass. Sorry, it's true. Anyway, that's the spiel. Dating, it's complicated and it's not complicated. You find people, you go out, you learn about yourself. No harm, no foul. You find someone great, you don't find someone in that particular time, you move on. It's not ready yet. I am a firm believer that the universe brings us who we need to meet when it is the right time to meet them. Like when my husband Michael and I started dating in the end of 2015, the winter of 2015, 2016, we had already known each other like 29 years. And we had been friends. We had thought about dating in the mid-late 80s when we first met, but we didn't. And then life took a different course, and we both married other people, and we had kids, and we stayed friends. And then we remained in contact through social media and so on, and saw each other at parties and various things over the years. But it wasn't ready until it was ready. We both had to go through a whole lot of shit and walk across the coals of, life in order to be ready for the relationship we have with each other. We had to grow and learn and heal and process a whole lot of trauma and a whole lot of negative emotion and negative behavior in order to come to the point where we were at the same time in 2015 and 16, where we finally were ready for the relationship we both wanted, we both longed for, and we both deserved. And then it just happened. It kind of fell together without us really working hard for it. And I believe that's going to happen for everybody if they're open and patient and allow themselves to be vulnerable with others and don't force it. Anyway, so that's it. Thank you for joining me. This has been a few minutes. I hope it's been helpful. Please continue to log in, to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share videos on What's Up Marci that you like. Please follow me on Facebook. Please follow me. Please join my public group called Permission to Heal, Safe to Fly. And we talk about all this sort of stuff on a regular basis. Anyway, I love you all. Feel good. Feel good about yourselves. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are special. You are amazing. You are enough. And you will find love. But you have to love yourself first. That's it for today. Love you all.